This lesson is about reflections. The goal is to find reflection images of figures, and the standards is geometry congruence number 2, congruence number 4, and congruence number 6. What you need to know at the end of this lesson is that when you reflect a figure or an image across a line, that each point of the figure maps to another point the same distance from that line, but it's on the other side of the line. The orientation of the figure reverses. So where do you think you are, or how much do you know about reflections, graphing reflections, plotting coordinates of reflections? 1, 2, 3, or 4. Write this at the top of your notes right now. All right, here's this cute little kitty, and I know you guys know what a reflection is, but I just kind of want to show you what I mean by orientation and all that. But we're going to look at this red line here. I know it's thick, but look at this line. This is the line of reflection. Now you notice here the little kitty's paws are right against the line. And on the reflection, down here, the little kitty's paws are right against the line. So they are the same distance from the line. They are just on the other side of the line. Little kitty's ears are furthest away from the line up here, and down at the bottom, the little kitty's ears are furthest away from the line. So when we're reflecting an image, that's what we're doing. We are reversing it, or almost like flipping it over a line. All right, so here are the key concepts. A reflection across a line M, here would be line M, and here is our original triangle, ABC, and here is our prime, or the after image in prime notation. Notice it is the same distance away from this line. It is almost like you just flipped it over the line. It is a transformation, and it has the following properties. If point A is on the line of the image, then the after image, it is also on the line. So just remember the line of reflection, points on the pre-image are going to be the same distance from the line on the image that you have reflected. Again, reflections preserve distance. If it is 1 unit away on this side, it is 1 unit away on that side. Reflections preserve angle measures. If I have a 30-degree angle measure here, I have a 30-degree angle measure over here. So reflections map each point of the preimage to one and only one corresponding point of its image. Can only match to one point. Now sometimes they're going to ask you to reflect across the y-axis, then you would flip it this way, or you would reflect it across the x-axis, in which case you'd flip this up and over, or they're going to ask you to reflect it across a line, such as y equals 2. Well, I'm going to go up my y. There's where y equals 2. Y equals 2 is a horizontal line. So right here is where I am going to flip this image across. So I'm going to look and see how far away from y equals 2 each one of these points is, and then plot it above y equals 2. So if you want, you kind of have to figure where that is. Now when you do this on the iPad, you're not going to be able to do that. But point G, it is at 3, 0. So it is 2 points below. So I'm going to map it 2 points above. D is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 below. I've got to map it 6 above. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. F is 2 below. I have to map it 2 above. And of course, you know that the iPad is going to draw your lines for you, so you don't have to do that. Point E is also 6 below, so I'm going to come up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That one would go right there. And that finishes that parallelogram. Sorry about my lines, but I have reflected that shape across the y equals 2. Your first practice problem is to reflect across the x-axis. That means you are going to map it across that line. Your next problem, practice 2, is to reflect it across y equals 1, and that would be that line. The next one says to reflect across a line y equals negative x. In this case, we have to find where the points are. Then we are going to change the points, make x, y, y, x, and change the signs. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to start with E, point E. Point E is right here, and it is at -3, -8. So I'm just going to write that point right up here. -3, -8. Well, when I change those points and the signs, I get 8, 3. So my first point is going to be at 8, 1, 2, 3. That's where my first point is going to be. So every one of those points, I'm going to mark the point down, reverse the signs, and flip and exchange or swap, whatever you want to say, the x and the y values. So D is at -5, -8, -5, -8, which becomes 8, 5, which is up here. F is at -3, 2. That point becomes -2, +3. That one's there. And of course the other one is 2 away from it. I really don't have to mark that point. And now that rectangle has been reflected across the line y equals -x. So remember, when you have y equals -x, your point, you change the signs of the point and swap the x and y value. Here's your practice 3. You do the same with the image of this kite. Reflect it across the line y equals -x. Now the second assignment you're going to be doing for reflections is you're going to write the coordinates of the vertices after you reflect. So we are going to look at this shape, SRUT, and come up with what the coordinates are going to be after we reflected across the x-axis. Now the nice thing is when I reflect across the x-axis, all I do is change the y values. So this becomes -8, And I'm going to change the value of, or all I do is change the sign of my y. That's 9. This is -8, 1, -3, 1, and -3, 9. Because I'm going to take this shape and flip it up over there. So this point that's down there is going to be up here. The other one's going to be up here. I have one at 1. And if you'll notice, that's where my points end up when I reflect it. That's only when I'm reflecting across the x-axis. You change the sign of the y values. It's the same thing if you're going to reflect across the y-axis. If you reflect across the y-axis, you only change the sign of the x values. But be real careful, that's the only time. So here I need to reflect across the line x equals 3. So x equals 3 is going to be a vertical line. And that is this line right there. So these you have to be careful of. So we have to think and actually kind of look and see where it's going to be. Now, because point H is on x equals 3, it's not going to change. It's going to stay right at 3, 2. F is 3 points away, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3 points away here. So it is going to be 0, -7. And G is 1, 2, 3, 4 points away from F. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so now I have my reflected shape. And it looks like that. So my G is at, let's see, it's at -1, 2, 3, -4, -7. So notice my x values did not change in this case. However, my y values didn't change, but my x values did. All except on H, because it is actually was on the line. So these aren't hard, but they take a little thought, and they are a little more time consuming. Here's your practice 4. You are going to write the coordinates of the vertices after you reflect it across the x-axis. You are going to flip it up over the x-axis. Practice 5. V prime is the image of the point V after a reflection. Across which axis was point V reflected? Now I'm going to kind of tell you how to do this one. I don't know that I told you this. I told you that when you reflect y equals -x, you swap x and y and you change the signs. Well, when you do y equals x, all you do is swap your x and y values. You don't change any signs. Practice 6, reflect across the line y equals x. So how do you think you'll do on your IXL assignments? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Put this at the end of your notes. And good luck with your assignments. There are 2 of them. And the little kitty says bye for now.